First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to First at 5 from WUFT News. I'm Ashley Weinstein.
And I'm Tyler Carmona. Thanks for joining us.
I think it might just be me, but I was excited to wake up to the colder weather this morning.
I think it's just you, Ashley. I can't deal with this cold anymore.
You know, if you haven't heard, our weather team is expecting this winter to be drier and warmer than normal. Meteorologist Justin Ballard dives deeper into the degrees from the UF Weather Center. Justin?
That's right, Ashley and Tyler. We've got La Nina for the third time in a row right here for the winter months. We're talking December through February. That is meteorological winter. What does that mean, though, here in Gainesville? Well, it means that warmer and drier conditions are favored. Now, does that mean we're going to have 70s and 80s all winter long? Of course not. We'll still have cold snaps, and we'll certainly still have some chilly temperatures during the overnight. But when you look at averages over the course of the winter months, they will likely be slightly warmer than what we're used to. Much of the southeast is actually going to be dealing with drier conditions, and for our friends in the Panhandle, that could be pretty rough news because they're already under severe drought in many areas. That wildfire risk will also be heightened. Now, the rainy season doesn't get going locally until we get into the months of April and May, so we've got a long while to go before we can get out of drier and warmer conditions. Back to you.
Thanks, Justin.
Our forecaster Derrah joins us now to give a closer look at how this is affecting our local area. Derrah?
In the past 24 hours, we've seen almost a 20-degree difference in temperature. Minus 19 in Gainesville. Things feeling a little bit warmer on the west coast, but still on average about a 10 degrees drop in temperature. Outside on your campus cam, mostly sunny skies. The temperature right now at 58, and it's going to feel much cooler than that within the next couple of hours. We're going to be cooling down to a low tonight in the mid-30s. I'll have more on that, as well as some rain that we're tracking this weekend as well as next week, coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
Thanks, Derrah. With this weather, Gainesville is preparing by activating its cold night shelter program.
That's right. WFT's Mariana Larson visited one participating shelter to learn how they're opening their doors.
It doesn't get cold often in Gainesville, but when it does, the city prepares to handle it.
Talked to chef and said, okay, I'm a big soup fan, and I'm thinking, soup and bread, oh my gosh, with weather like that, let's do some really nice hearty soups for everybody.
The Cold Night Shelter program is offered to the unsheltered homeless when nighttime temperatures drop below 45 degrees. St. Francis House is one of 2 shelters offering additional beds. Executive Director Lori Schiffbauer says the community needs it.
Our priority is single women and families with children. With that said, we have very few single women and families that come in for shelter. We have a lot more males, so we don't turn anybody away. It doesn't just have to be them.
The shelter offers 60 beds during cold nights, as well as food and toiletries. The building is located on 413 South Main Street. In addition, St. Francis House offers services outside of the Cold Night Shelter program.
We are seeing a lot of people who are not homeless, but they are food insecure, a lot of them seniors, because they just can't afford the prices anymore. So that they can come over here and at least get like a really good big hearty meal that help kind of cut down on what they need to spend on other food costs.
Schiffbauer says one of the best ways to help is to get the word out about the program.
Just spread the word. You know, if you see somebody on the street, one of the kindest things you can do when encountering somebody who's homeless is to not do this, but to look and say, hey, how's it going? Just like you would anybody else, you know? And if you see somebody that you think may be homeless, say, you know, there's emergency shelter over at St. Francis tonight, or there's emergency shelter over at Grace Market.
Mariana Larson, WUFT News.
Well, people aren't the only ones affected by this temperature drop. In fact, stray animals could also be in danger. A local animal is no longer accepting animal rescues. Alachua County Animal Resources is seeing a large influx of animals that's been going on for the past few weeks. Adoption rates dropped and more people are unable to care for their pets, overcrowding the shelter. The shelter now has 105 kennels, and adoptions are one way to open spots for newcomers. ACAR Director of Resources Julie Johnson says inflation and access to pet care are factors.
We have several pets that have been here over 300 days. So, I mean, that's over a year, some of them over a year in the shelter. And, you know, it breaks our hearts because these are great animals that just need a chance in a home, and we can't get them out.
The shelter closed its doors once it reached the capacity that it could care for. Although it's full, the shelter is still admitting animals in critical condition due to illness, injury, or any threat. ACAR volunteers are hoping the shutdown only lasts 2 weeks. Animals that are already in another local shelter are also at risk. Hill's Angels Pet Rescue is permanently closing next month. For 18 years, Hill's Angels saved thousands of dogs and cats from homelessness. It wants all its supporters and animal lovers to continue carrying its mission forward by supporting other animal rescues in North and Central Florida. In a press release, the shelter announced that its last day open to the public is Sunday, December 11th. After Sunday, contact the Humane Society of North Central Florida for any questions regarding fostered and adopted animals.
So Tyler, does your family celebrate Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we gather together, we make a turkey.
Okay, have you heard of the deep frying turkey method?
I have not.
Okay, I know you cook, so if you ever try it out, you have to let me know, because I've always been curious about that.
Well, if you're also into deep frying your turkey, the City of Ocala Water Resources is hosting an oil recycling day the Tuesday after Thanksgiving on November 29th. At 2 locations, you can bring your cooking oil in a sealed container to be disposed of in a healthy, environmentally friendly manner. Pouring fats, oils, and greases down a drain just coats the inside of pipes and they solidify, restricting the flow of wastewater and then causing backups. Recycling cooking oil is a good way to eliminate this oil being poured down the drain to reduce waste and provide a positive impact on the environment. You can stop by the Water Reclamation Facility from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. or the Ocala Wetland Recharge Park from noon until 5 p.m. on the 29th. For more information, please call the City of Ocala Water Resources Department at 352-351-6772.
Speaking of the holiday season, if you're traveling out of the Gainesville Regional Airport, you might see some new changes soon because of a $6 million grant. Gainesville City Commission unanimously approved the grant for the airport earlier today. The current taxiway doesn't meet the FAA standards, and some parts of it are nearly 30 years old. The grant, which came from the Federal Aviation Administration, will go towards a new taxiway. City Commissioner Adrian Hayes Santos says the vote was just protocol.
I can't think of a last time that we haven't had a unanimous vote on a grant for the airport. The city of Gainesville just acts as a pass-through. We don't really apply for the grants. The airport applies for the grants. And then just because the land is owned by the city of Gainesville, we have to approve it.
The airport will begin construction of the new taxiway immediately. I know it's going to be tough, but are you planning on going anywhere this holiday season?
I'm just going to go back home to Miami and see my family. What about you?
I'm going to head back up to Jacksonville and spend the holiday with my family. In a little, we'll have more weather from Derrah so I could make those plans, and we'll hear about a new piece of art at this weekend's art festival. But first, the power shifts in the House of Representatives. Find out whose historic run ended today after the break.
You're watching Wuft-TV News.
Welcome back. The Miami parents of a University of Virginia football player killed in a mass shooting over the weekend are mourning the loss of their son. Today, the former football coach and a close family friend of Deshaun Perry are speaking out on behalf of the family in an effort to keep his memory alive. WTVJ's Chris Hush has the story from Miami.
Deshaun was a beautiful soul, whom I, among many, had the privilege of meeting.
Gulliver Prep football coach Earl Sims nearly brought to tears.
He was like a son to me. He'll truly be missed, but we'll make sure that his legacy lives on.
In an effort to do just that, Deshaun Perry's former football coach and close family friend and attorney Michael Haggard are telling the 22-year-old story, one that ended in tragedy on Sunday.
He had made it. He was at one of the greatest schools in the country, going to class as a great student athlete. And this is how the story ends?
The football star and his 2 teammates, Devin Chandler and Lavelle Davis Jr., were shot and killed on their way back to the University of Virginia after seeing an Emmett Till play in Washington, D.C. The suspect, a fellow classmate, 22-year-old Christopher Darnell Jones Jr.
When anyone met Deshaun, the first thing they would see is this gentle giant with this humility.
From Richmond Heights to Pinecrest, Perry touched the lives of so many in South Florida, often volunteering and mentoring the young. His family, too emotional to speak on camera today, telling NBC6, "Our family is devastated by the passing of our son. He was a loving, giving, caring, God-fearing young man who was full of life and potential and who made his family proud. We truly appreciate the outpouring of love and support from so many people."
When is enough going to be enough in this country?
Deshaun Perry's family say they want to put a spotlight on gun violence in this country, as it has now hit way too close to home.
The Republicans won control over the House of Representatives, and with that comes a change in duties for Nancy Pelosi. The first and only woman to serve as a House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, stepped down from leadership today. After leading House Democrats for 2 decades, she says she wants others to have a chance to lead.
For me, the hours come for a new generation to lead the Democratic caucus that I so deeply respect. And I'm grateful that so many are ready and willing to shoulder this awesome responsibility.
A Venice pilot is dead after a plane crash in Central Florida on Tuesday. According to the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, 73-year-old Charles Albin was flying a single-engine plane Tuesday afternoon on Oak Hill. Witnesses saw him taxi the plane at the Blue Ridge Flight Park Airport. The Sheriff's Office said Albin planned to fly to Venice and went south on the airstrip. In front of a home, the plane veered off course, striking a tree. Deputies say Albin had just traded planes with another pilot. He was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead.
I heard we're supposed to break another weather record, if I could say that right, tonight.
You mean to tell me it's going to be colder than 37?
I don't know, Derrah.
Well, we're not going to be breaking any records tonight, but we are going to see temperatures in the mid-30s, and it is going to be possible for some frost to develop. I'll have more on that and some rain that we're tracking this weekend coming up in my full forecast.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
So far today, the coldest temperatures we've seen have been almost 50 degrees here in Gainesville, 50 south, and mid-40s north. Right now, temperatures in the upper 50s, 58 in Gainesville, and getting closer to the low 50s as we get closer to the Panhandle. Over the next couple of hours, temperatures are going to be cooling off quite a bit. Our low tonight is going to be in the mid-30s, and with temperatures that cold, it's very possible to see some frost develop. Our low tonight in Gainesville, 36. You can see some frost developing northwest and south of Hawthorne. We're going to be in the upper 30s south of Gainesville and low 40s in the Villages, and there is going to be the possibility for some frost to develop west of Ocala. It isn't going to be record-breaking cold. We're going to be just shy of 10 degrees warmer than the current daily record low in November, which is 28 degrees set in 2007. Outside on your campus cam, mostly blue skies. You can see that sun already beginning to set right now at 58 degrees. And as you're planning your day tomorrow, lots of sunshine in the morning with a light breeze developing in the afternoon. We're going to be staying cool tomorrow as well as the evening. Our high tomorrow in the upper 60s, 61 in Gainesville, upper 50s as we get near the Panhandle, and low to mid 60s south of Gainesville. We're going to be staying chilly on Friday, and this weekend we do have a passing cold front on Saturday, bringing us that chance of rain on Sunday. And next week we're going to be warming up with an additional possibility of rain on Tuesday. After that cold front passes us by, we're going to be dipping down into the upper 50s on Sunday, but back into the 70s next week. Back to you.
Thanks, Derrah. I hear there's a men's basketball sunshine showdown happening in Florida's capital tomorrow.
Try saying that 5 times.
I'm glad I could just say it once.
The Gators look to start a winning streak over the Seminoles and pick up their first win in Tallahassee in a decade. Find out more after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Karina Wilson. After a 38-6 win over the South Carolina Gamecocks last week, the bowl-eligible Florida Gators football team travels to Music City to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Ahead of Saturday's game, head coach Billy Napier said his squad is starting to believe in themselves.
This group has worked extremely hard, and we're starting to believe a little bit. So, good day of work. I think I'm very impressed with the urgency, the detail, the attitude of the players. I think the staff done a really good job. So, we're excited about going to Nashville.
Kickoff is set for noon Eastern Time on the SEC Network. The Florida men's and women's swimming and diving team competes in the Georgia Invitational today in the first invite of the season. The Gators encounter Auburn, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Georgia. Florida is coming off a sweep of SEC opponent Tennessee. The victory marked the women's second consecutive ranked win over a conference foe. Finals are set up for 5:30 p.m. daily until the Invitational ends on Saturday. The golden era continues Friday as the Gators men's basketball team travels to the state's capital to battle the 0-3 Florida State Seminoles. Florida is coming off an uncharacteristic loss to Florida Atlantic. The upset was UF's first against an in-state non-Power 5 opponent since 2010. Fifth-year forward Colin Castleton's 30 points failed to be enough for the orange and blue. However, the odds haven't been in Florida State's favor either. The Noles have yet to bag a win, falling to the undefeated Troy Trojans Monday. The Gators head into troubled waters as they haven't won a game in Tallahassee since 2012. Tip-off is slated for 8 p.m. Meanwhile, the Gators women's basketball team looks to get back in the win column Friday versus Bethune-Cookman. The Gators suffered a 15-point loss to their in-state rival Florida State. FSU's Tanaya Latson recorded 32 points and 5 rebounds, leading the Seminoles to victory. While UF still leads the overall series 43-36, it has failed to win a game in Tallahassee in its last 8 attempts. Friday's game, the O-Dome, tips off at 6 p.m. High school football playoff action continues Friday as the 1A teams duke it out on the field. The undefeated Hawthorne Hornets take on the Wildwood Wildcats in the 1A Rural Regional Semifinal Friday. Wildwood has suffered 2 losses on the season ahead of the matchup. The Hornets claim home field advantage and kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m. In the other 1A Rural Regional Semifinal games, Chiefland takes on Pahokee at 6:30 p.m. and Madison County faces Union County at 7:30 p.m. As for the 1A Suburban Regional Semifinal, PK Yonge battles Holy Trinity Episcopal Academy at 7 p.m.
Thanks, Karina. Do you have any weekend plans, Tyler? I'm thinking I might hit up the city's downtown festival and art show. It's going on from Friday until Sunday.
Well, you should, because the city actually commissioned an artist to create a new mural downtown. For Native American Heritage Month, Rainier Gamboa is a nationally recognized artist who attended the New World School of the Arts, also known as UF's Art Conservatory in Miami, Florida. He'll paint his first mural on First Avenue from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., and you can watch if weather permits this weekend.
Before we get too set on those weekend plans, let's take one last check on the weather.
This evening, we're going to continue to feel a light breeze. After sunset, temperatures are going to start dropping quite a bit. Partly cloudy skies overnight. The rest of this week, we're going to be seeing quite a fluctuation in temperatures with a passing cold front on Saturday, moving us into the upper 50s on Sunday, and more rain forecasted next week to keep our temperatures cool in the 70s next week. Back to you.
Thanks, Derrah. BBC World News is next, and PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But remember, your Florida news is always on WUFT.org. Have a good night.